get emotional about it because, people, if you say, you've run that many marathons, every time people are going to say, well, have you run Boston? And no, I haven't. But, Boston turned out to be very special for me because I'd run a number of marathons, and I could see at that point that I was in the range of almost 100 marathons. And so when I qualified, I knew that I could make Boston my 100th marathon.
That's Charles Hurst, and I'm Santosh Shiva, your host for RunYogi Diaries. Welcome back. Have you wondered if it's possible to go longer and get faster as you age? Charles proves you can through his common sense approach to running and training. He has in his running career run over 108 marathons, over 50 ultras, and multiple 100 milers. We get to talk about how to get started running late in one's life, how to scale one's ability over a period of time, importance of running groups and communities, importance of relationships, and how to have fun doing all of that. So let's talk to Charles Hurst. So, welcome to the show, Charles Hurst.
Thank you, sir. It's great to be here. I'm excited and honored to be talking with you today.
Absolutely. I remember the first time I met you. I met you in the Greenway, and the Greenway was it had just got inaugurated, and everyone was running the longer distance up to, which was going to Uptown, right? And I met you on my way back, and that's when we got to know each other. And I ran for some time on the Germantown Thoroughbred group for some time, and so hey, here we are. So glad to have you on the show.
That's what I love about the running community. I mean, you meet so many great people out there, just happenstance, and everybody has a different story, and it's really, really a lot of fun.
Yeah, the other thing common between you and me is that we're born in the same month. I know your birthday is just one day after mine.
There you go. All right.
I can't forget that, right? December 19th.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, a fellow Sagittarian.
That's right. You bet. Yeah.
We are cool people, right?
Yeah.
So great. So Charles, love to have you introduce yourself, and then we'll get into your story and go from there.
Okay, sure. Well, I started running about 16 years ago, seriously, I guess. When I was in high school, I played sports, baseball, basketball, football, ran a little track, but I was not that excited about track, to be honest with you. I mean, it just seemed like a long way seeing those guys that could run a mile, and I was going, that is just insane. So, in college, I didn't really do any sports, but got married after college, started working, and then we moved to Cleveland, Ohio, and you're living by the lake in Cleveland. It's a little brisk there, so not a lot of time for outdoor sports. And I was working with a software company and traveling a lot, so I put on a few pounds. And we came back to Memphis, and I said, "Look, I can really do better than this." So, I looked around for something to do and thought I could start running. And like most people's journey, I just started off walk to a light pole, run to a light pole, and just gradually built that up. And, my first goal was to run a 5K in under 30 minutes. And that seemed monumental at the time. But I, worked on a local race here. It was a 5K that called the Firecracker 5K. And it's on the 4th of July, blistering hot. And took me a while, but I finally broke that 30-minute mark, and I just loved the sport. I love the community of runners. When you're out there on the starting line with people that are so excited about doing positive things and taking better care of themselves, and I just love going and doing that. And from there, joined a local running group here in Germantown. As you mentioned, the Germantown Thoroughbreds. It had already been started by a group of, friendly runners. They welcome in, and, it just took off from there. So, I saw people with their marathon stickers on there, and I was like, wow, what a goal. And finally worked up to that, and they, showed me how to do it. And I think it was 16 years ago, I ran the Tupelo Marathon, my first marathon, and kind of took off from there.
So great. So tell us about the rest of how did you scale it? Now, you started and then you built on it. Gone on to do the Boston Marathon. You're also a pacer in a lot of the marathons now. You run at 420. You run a 420. You're a pace leader for the 420 pace group, and that's not easy, right? Because it takes a different level of commitment and skill set. So tell us about some of that.
Okay, sure. Well, as I started running, few marathons, I got involved with the St. Jude Marathon here. And one of the things that got involved with the pace team, because when you pace a race, you typically run that about 20 to 30 minutes slower than your PR, your personal best. So, I started doing that and just found out that, I love doing that because I could run a comfortable pace and lead a group and help people accomplish their goals out on the race course. And, it's so amazing when you're, every time I start a group at the starting line, we hold our pace sign up and everybody comes around and say, how are you going to run this? And, we explain that we run an even pace all the way throughout the course. And I always ask, is this your first time doing this? And, people are so excited, they raise their hand. And those are the people that I have to keep an eye on, because those are the people that usually get so excited and they're in the best shape of their life that they'll just take off at the first of the race. And the real benefit of running with the pace group is you have someone that's experienced and kind of guides you through, keeping you at an even pace and, coaching them along on the course, which is real helpful. And I just hear some amazing stories of people that are out there doing that for their first time or their 200th time running. Everybody has a different purpose for being out there. And I just love doing that. So I've paced all over the country. And a lady that I really learned to pace with, that I paced with quite a bit here in Memphis, Marie Bartoletti. She's run over 500 marathons and also done Badwater and several other races like that. And she showed me how to do it because we always have, anywhere I pace, there's two pacers because anyone can have a bad day and, have a problem. So I pace with Marie a lot, and we print out the pace bands, tape it on the sign that we carry, and, just use our watch and sync up at every mile to make sure that we're staying right on the money. And, I've hit it right on the money. I've hit it under just a couple of seconds under, and, but it's really what I enjoy doing because I get so much out of, hearing the people at the end of the race where they go, thank you for keeping me reined in and not going out too fast or, giving me some tips along the course. And we always have to save our best jokes towards the end of the race because not too much is funny at that point. But it's really encouraging to, bring those people along and then have such a great experience out there because it's tough. I don't care how many of these you've done. They're never easy. Totally.
Yeah. I think at least the theory of human physiology is that 20 miles is your physical limit where the body switches from one energy source to another. And that's when your mind still has to stay focused. And the whole joke is marathon is two halves, 20 miles on the last 6.2, right?
Right. There's been a lot of races when I've been out there thinking at mile 22, what other hobby looks good right now? Because this is not
totally
fun.
agree.
And then you get to the finish line, or that last, couple of 100 yards where you can see the finish line. And I mean, it's fantastic.
Yeah. In fact, the talking about pacing, my first PR was because I stuck with the pacing group. And I remember the last mile, I was hurting so much, because that was not a pace I was used to, and I was hurting so much. And I remember that lady, just helping me through it, but just speaking those encouraging words, and having me not give up mentally, right? Because I was, the body was basically saying, "Stop it! You shouldn't be doing this at this pace." And in Atlanta, I think the last half a mile, there's a little hill that comes up.
Sure.
Really, you need a hill at this point. But yeah, thank you for what you do as a pacer, and to all the pacers out there. I think folks who run marathons, I'm sure, see the paces, and I don't think they really know what goes behind what you guys do, and the planning and the commitments. So thank you so much for that.
Well,
and so coming back to your own personal journey, right? And you went on to do not just the large number of marathons, but you also qualified for Boston, which is a big deal, right? It's a big deal because you also seem to have gotten faster to a point where you could qualify for the Boston. So tell us about, how did you get faster? What did you do? What did you have to do to hack into your speed genes?
Sure. Yeah. Well, looking at Boston, when early on in my running career, I've never been a speedster out there, but I do think I have the mental toughness to stick with it. And, having Boston as a goal, I knew I had to do some things a little different. And I have some friends in our running group in Germantown Thoroughbreds that I listened to them. They had been to Boston numerous times. And I said, what do I need to do to knock this time down to get there? And how can I do it differently? Because I was, at that point, I'd run probably 80 marathons, and, I was comfortable with that. But what do I need to do to take it to the next level?
Yeah.
And, they said, you need to focus on speed work, which I really had not done. And, with speed work, you learn to really, push your body and feel that pain, and being able to hold on to that edge of pain, to get through that. And the faster you run, the faster you go, and you get used to that speed. And that made a big difference for me. And, I would have never thought that, my fastest marathon would be near 60 years old. And, I felt great about that. I cross-train when I'm doing, so, I don't try to just blow myself up running every day. And I think that helps, physically, if you just have a stronger body, stronger core, you can survive handling those higher, faster paces and stay in the game longer. I listened to some of those people because I normally would work out all, before the race and the week before the race, and, not really taper as everybody says you should, which is smart. So I listened, put my ego aside and said, I want to learn how to do this better. And I listened to those people, and it was fun because I qualified at the Andrew Jackson Marathon in Jackson, Tennessee, which is not far from here. And we had several people from our running group that went up there with me, guys that had been pushing me to train to go a little faster, and they ran the race with me. And, it was just a great day to get out there, and, the weather turned out well, which was fortunate, because in all of these, a lot of things can go wrong. And I, it was just a terrific day because had my pacing experience. I knew where I was on the course time wise, and they were pushing me, and they were getting a little nervous that I was going to be too close. And I made it by like 31 seconds for not just the Boston qualifying time, but for the time to get bibbed, because there is a difference, and when I crossed the finish line, it was just a great feeling that, you get emotional about it because, people, if you say, you've run that many marathons, every time people are going to say, well, have you run Boston? And no, I haven't. But, Boston turned out to be very special for me because I'd run a number of marathons, and I could see at that point that I was in the range of almost 100 marathons. And so when I qualified, I knew that I could make Boston my 100th marathon. And that was really special for me. Wow. I actually talked to the race director up there, Dave McGilray, and he got me the bib number 100. He actually gets bib number 100 every year. He runs the marathon after everyone else is finished, and he does it with bib number 100. And I emailed him prior to the Boston Marathon. I said, here's what I've been doing, in some of these other races leading up to Boston. I would talk to the race director, and they would give me bib number 96 or 97, 98 leading up to the race. And they said, that's not quite the way we do it here in Boston. I said, okay, fair enough. I would have always hated not to have it and not ask. But then I actually ran into Dave when I was in Boston, and he said, yes, just send me an email afterward and I'll send you the bib, which he did. I mean, it's just a terrific guy. And that's just an example of the type of running community there is out there. People in that position, that was a crazy weekend in 2018. The weather was like one of the worst that they had ever had. And he was running all over the place, but he took the time to say, sure, I'll do that. And he followed through. So, but I tell you what, making that final turn on Boylston and seeing the finish line, I had tears in my eyes coming down there, knowing, I really hit that goal. So I was excited.
Awesome. Yeah. It takes a village to get a guy to finish qualify for a Boston, first of all, right? Awesome. Yeah. That's a good, so nice to hear your friends were behind you and wow, 100 marathon and a Boston one.
Yeah.
What a story. Amazing.
Wow.
You're getting me inspired now,
I don't know if you remember that day though. It was they almost canceled the Boston Marathon that day because of the weather. They had sleet and snow and everything coming in that day, and the winds were terrible. And we had a group walking over to the marathon that morning. Some people that were in our running group that were running it that day, and we walked by these reporters. And they asked some of the people in our group if we wanted to talk on camera. And, they said, no, get this guy over here, get Charles. So I went over there and, we all had our rain gear on. It was just blowing sideways and all that. And they said, well, what do you think about this weather? And I said, it's just like I like it. So, you just have to have that mental mindset that, I'm going to make this. Every time I go to a starting line, I say, I will stop at the finish line, but I'm going to make this. I told my wife that morning, if they have one person finish the race that day, it's going to be me. And, wow. It was tough. I started off in rain pants and a jacket, and there were people just jackhammering at the starting line because they were so cold, and it was tough, but it was a memorable day. I mean, that's the way that I would want it, the 100th marathon to be in Boston. So wow, it was really fun.
You are inspiring me to think about it. I've never thought about, I didn't think I would even I'm capable of running Boston, given the times that I have to cross to get there. But you know what? What you're telling me is very inspiring, and I'm not giving up. That's a commitment I'm making right now.
You can
I'm
do
just
it.
making that up.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I mean, the thing about it is just having that purpose in mind and, making it part of your everyday decisions on, is this, will this help me get to Boston better? Make me a better runner, every small choice you make. So,
it's beautiful.
I can assure you it's worth it. You'll be glad you did.
No, totally. And by the way, unless you tell somebody you're 60, nobody's going to guess it. Okay. You gave it away. We should have had a quiz at the end of this thing. How old do you think Charles is? People will say, well, maybe 40. Maybe 40.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's just terrific. And age is a number, they say, but you're definitely exemplifying that. Terrific. So one takeaway definitely is that for anyone to get to that level of trying to break through to that level of fitness to qualify for a Boston will require embracing pain in running fast. But it's a good time to pivot into another kind of pain that you have embraced, which is running longer.
Right.
You've done like 40 plus 50-mile races. I think that's what I remember you writing to me, and then 4 100-mile plus races. That's a different pain cave, right? So let's talk about that.
Okay. Well, when I turned 50, I wanted to have a stretch goal for myself, and I said, it'd be pretty cool to run a 50-miler when I turned 50 years old, and because when I'm doing this, I'm not really looking for a lot of adoration in this. I just want to see how I can be 100% of me. I've said before, when you close your eyes for that final time and they go, what could you have done? I want to say, yes, I gave that a shot and I pushed myself to all I could do. And I thought, okay, I've run several marathons. How can I take it to the next level? And turning 50 to run a 50-miler, we have the St. Jude Marathon here in Memphis. And as you know, around our birthdays. So I said, that would be cool to do that. So I paced the race. I ran the marathon course, dropped off my gear, and then ran it in reverse. And hit some of the aid stations on the way back, and people were calling out to me, you're going the wrong way and all this stuff, which is fine. But my wife, my son, and daughter-in-law were all out there after the race course had closed, providing aid along the course. So, and I finished, in the dark down by the river. I actually did 52 miles on there, finishing the course twice, and they had a little toilet paper finish line for me as I finished down there, and it was a great feeling. And a good friend of mine, John Phillips, that I've done a lot of this stuff with, he saw that, and he got into it himself, running these ultra races, and we've done a lot of those together. And it just sort of took off from there, because I would have never imagined running 50 miles. But what's cool about this is, progressing slowly at your own pace. Don't try to judge your fitness level by someone else's. And as you slowly add to this, we're in this for the long haul. Mm-hmm. So don't try to be, compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 12. Mm-hmm. If you're just starting off, running a 15-minute mile may be a great accomplishment for you. It's all about just personal progression. So we did that, and had a lot of fun doing that with John. He's one of those people where whenever you say, I think of a crazy idea and say, sure, I'm in for that. So from that, we led to what was a result of a sort of a prank with our running group. One Sunday, they always used to make fun of me for picking up change along the course. If I would see pennies or anything like that, I'd stop and pick it up. So these ladies one Sunday went out and threw down all these coins on the on their training course. And I was running along, just picking them up and going, wow, that's a pretty good haul out here today. And my shorts were about to come down, found so much. And we got to the water stop and they were just laughing, at me. And they told me what had happened. And I said, what would be fun is if we thought of an idea that we could raise money and do this. So, and make a challenge out of it. So I did some research and we found out we could raise money for a clean water well and in Africa. And so we called it the Road to Change, from picking up change along the road. And we were at a water stop. So John and I decided to run the Arkansas Traveler, which is a 100-mile race to raise money for that clean water well. Wow. And I can tell you, if you run a 100-mile race, it will change your life. It is, it gives you a whole different perspective on being tired and what you're humanly, possible. Because, you have to put a lot of work in there, but it is life-changing. And, whenever at that point, after running a 100-mile race, if you hear someone else say they're tired today, you go, okay, well, I've seen tired. And it gives you a whole different perspective on it.
I have a theory, right? And the theory is that people who do ultra long distance running have a way with transcendence with pain, right? Have a way to transcend pain. I mean, it's not like there's no pain. I think people who run these long distances beyond normal human things is possible. There is a point you reach beyond pain. There is a space, I think, that you guys get to. I've experienced that in smaller distances, not to the length that you guys have gone. And I think we go back because there's something that we experience personally at some point beyond that place where we call pain. And I think it happens after that point. And it could be, people might call it spiritual. People might call it being in a state of flow. It could be, in the Eastern traditions, you call it nirvana, or whatever, right? But I do think that we as runners and endurance pursuit junkies, if you will, experience this, and that's why we keep going back. I think, don't you? What do you say?
One experience I had, they have this race over in Arkansas called they call it the Full Moon 50K, and they started at 8 o'clock at night because it's in July and it's always warm. So they're trying to do it the cool part of the day. But I was running that one year, and you're out in the middle of nowhere, and I was on this gravel road, and I was just running along. The sky was beautiful, clear, full of stars, and I just felt like I could have run forever out there. Mm-hmm. I was just in that vein, like say the flow of feeling so good. And, it's hard to replace that experience. And you never forget things like that. And, I tell myself a lot of times, there's absolutely parts of this that I don't enjoy, when it gets really hard. But what I really, really enjoy is the feeling, knowing that I can go out there and do that, knowing that I have the privilege of going out there and doing that. And that there's a lot of people that would love to be able to do a portion of that. And, I'm grateful that I have the health so far to continue to be able to do that. And the only way that I know I can do it is to go out there and do it. I always try to have an ultra on my race calendar every year because I get a physical every year, but that's just really what I see as my stress test, to go out there and see, what's possible for me. And just knowing you can do it is, a great feeling that you can carry with you every day. But you have to go out there and actually do it to verify that.
Yeah, and it has, and I would say that feeling or that mindset kind of flows over into your daily life, whether it's relationships, work, your day-to-day commitments, right? It's my theory that people who are runners and endurance sports people are generally happier.
Absolutely.
Right? And the small pains that you experience in regular life, you soon, compare it to a pain you probably experienced while running and say, hey, you know what, I can deal with this and stay with it.
Yeah, I remember I used to travel quite a bit with work, and I'd be in the airport and I would see people just sweating and struggling, pulling their bags, and I was going, I feel great going through here. And it's because of what I pursued in as my hobby, and taking care of myself. And I always feel like I owe that to my family and myself, to take care of myself, to be the best person I can be. And you talk about the happiness part of it. There was a Harvard study that you may have heard about it. They started in 1938 on adult development, and it's one of the longest studies they've ever done. It's like over 80 years. And one of the things that they found that was more important than your cholesterol level or anything else for longevity is your relationships and how good your relationships are with people. And that's what I love about the running community is they're so supportive and welcoming, and it's such a good group that it's not a I win, you lose group. It's we all win together. And if I can help you, achieve your goals, and those type of relationships, when you're out there struggling together on a long run, with your group, I mean, that's some of your best friends. And that's the type of relationships that we all need more of.
Totally. Well said. Well said. And by the way, talking about relationships, congratulations on 40 years of marriage. And
thank you.
That speaks of.
I appreciate that. I got very lucky. I have a very wonderful wife that takes great care of me.
Yeah, I'm sure. And without that, I'm sure that she's been a big contributor to your ability to do all these, phenomenal, things in running, right? That's great.
Well, it's fun. We've been able to travel to several different races. She's not a big fan of just going down to the local race, see me the 10 seconds run by in the marathon. But we've been fortunate to go to other countries and run. We went to Berlin for the marathon there, and went to Athens to run the marathon there, and makes trips out of it. And she's a great partner to be with to do that. Terrific.
Yeah. So what's next for you? What are you cooking?
I've got that what we call an ultra half marathon in a couple of weeks in Tupelo, but with not a whole lot on the schedule. We've been doing some of the virtual races, but our running group are really following, or sort of setting up our own courses with, as you mentioned, the road race series in Memphis with the Memphis Runners Track Club. Our group has got some courses where we're doing group runs on those distances. And I'm sure because the St. Jude Marathon is virtual this year, there will be a group of us running the actual course down there on race day. But just looking forward to, some actual races coming back. I still have the London Marathon on my bucket list. All the major marathons to do. That one and Tokyo are the only two that I haven't done. So I definitely want to get to London, and check that one off the list.
Terrific.
But I always say my fitness goal is to dance at my grandkids' wedding. So I just want to stay healthy and take care of myself and do this as long as I can.
That's terrific. And she's what? How old is she?
Well, she's 8. So
okay.
Yeah, that's my oldest grandchild. So
okay, so at least 12 years more, if not.
That's
if not
right.
Less.
Hopefully, a little longer than that.
We all wish that you continue to do great stuff and you continue to be fit. Before we wrap up, any final words of wisdom in terms of course, you talked about how to get to Boston, of course, is, you've talked about how to get there in terms of speed training. For people who want to get on to those long distance running, any words of wisdom in terms of training tips or something that you think is helpful? Sure.
I think, train with a group is very helpful because not only, the camaraderie that you get out of that, you get a lot of good tips from those, but also, keep in mind that this is a slow progression and that you want to be in this for the long term. So take your training gradually and add a little bit of a time at a time. It's sort of like what was the mythical story about the guy lifting the bull when he was a little calf, lifting him up every day, and then pretty soon he was strong enough to lift the bull at the end. We all will surprise ourselves on what we can accomplish because, those first runs that used to feel like, were terrible and now it's just a warm up for you. And that's, if you're consistent with your training, that's the way everyone will be. I've seen it thousands of times with people. If you will just stick with it, know there's not going to be perfect days out there. But on those days where you don't really feel like it, do a little bit and stay active and, cross train. So, and nutrition is important because you can't, the old thing about, getting the furnace hot enough, it'll burn anything. You don't want to burn anything. I mean, if you had an expensive racehorse, you wouldn't feed it junk food. Mm-hmm. And you should, think the same way about ourselves. Take care of, what you put in your body and keeping your body moving. And we all will surprise ourselves what we can do. So is there anything different you do or what do you do for nutrition? Is there anything specific? I just try to eat fairly clean. I try to avoid, I don't ever drink sodas and, we just try to eat healthy, nothing dramatic. I don't have any super coat on there, but I just do my best to avoid junk food. And I want to enjoy life too. We're in this to enjoy it, the ride. So I'll occasionally have some things I probably shouldn't be eating, but hey, we only go around once. Do you have a favorite treat post race treat? No, nothing specific actually. It was funny. We did a race over in Arkansas one time. It was a 50-miler, and we stopped by this little diner afterwards, and they had, in the South where they have the meat and 3, get a meat and 3 vegetables, and I was sitting there eating all that, and it tasted so good. And she said, "Well, would you like anything else?" And I said, "Well, let's just do that again." So they fixed the whole thing. But I'm typically not really hungry right after a race. But then the next day, I'll eat everything in sight. All right. Hey, that was a wonderful conversation. I definitely am very inspired with what you've been doing. And I'm personally taking on some goals myself after hearing your story. Okay. Oh. So thanks a lot. I'm sure people are listening to this probably feel the same. So thanks a lot. Keep doing all the good stuff you're doing, and we'll keep in touch. And
Thank you so much for being in the
Well,
show.
thank you. It's been a pleasure talking with you, and yeah, I'm certainly look forward to keeping in touch and accomplishing goals together.
Thank you. Absolutely.
All right.
Have a good
Thank
one.
you. All right.
Bye.
Thanks. You too. Bye-bye.